I was in school, and a pep rally would happen to be going on. It was around fourth period or so in my class. I was in the media center because I was honestly able to help out with some of the announcements for school. My friend Courtney was in the media center with me, but she was drawing something to paint on the pumpkin since we put Halloween decorations in the media center. I was also with one of the people that worked in the media center as well. He checked out books for students and kind of more or less tried to help them out as much as he could. Let's call this guy John. I would much rather not use his real name. A surprise visitor wound up coming to my school, and I saw him come into the media center. He then handed me a DVD that said, "The Backyardigans Season 0, Episode 0, The Adventure Begins." I was actually quite surprised at this. I mean, I will admit, I was definitely a Backyardigan fan since I was in elementary, and I will admit, I still like it. I mean, I knew of Seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, but there was no Season 0. I mean, maybe that had to do something with the original make of the episodes? I don't know. Anyway, after I managed to get the announcements done and everything, I put the DVD into a DVD player on my computer, and I pressed play. The theme song started up. There were no advertisements or anything like that. "What are you watching, Alex?" Courtney asked me. I had completely forgotten that she was in the same room with me. I don't know. Some guy gave me this weird DVD of some sort. Apparently it's a Backyardigans one. They call it Season 0 or something along those lines, I said. The episode started off with Austin playing kickball with Pablo. "Hi there," Pablo yelled. He screamed it rather loudly that I fell out of my chair. "What the fuck?" I yelled. What's wrong? Are you okay?" Courtney said. She ran to me and helped me up. "Why the hell did Pablo yell that line so freaking loud?" I said. Pablo had a rather disturbing looking grin on his beak. "You want to play a game?" Pablo said. "Do you want me to watch this with you, Alex?" Courtney asked. If you want to, it's probably not going to be anything special, to be honest," I said. She sat down in the chair next to me, and Pablo threw a ball at Austin, which hit him in the head. "Ow, what did you do that for?" Austin said. I could tell that he was in a pretty good amount of pain due to the fact that he was holding his head. "Oops, sorry about that," Pablo said innocently. The two of us kept on watching. "Hey Austin, do you miss Tyrone, Uniqua, and Tasha?" Pablo asked. "Yeah, what happened to them? It's like they all of a sudden just disappeared," Austin said. I saw Pablo grin evilly again like before. I looked at Courtney. What's the heck is going on?" Courtney asked. "I have no idea," I said. I was about as confused as she was. This entire thing did not exactly make too much sense, to be honest. "I don't know." "Huh. How did they die again?" Austin asked. "Tyrone was stabbed, Uniqua was poisoned, and Tasha was shot," Pablo said. "I wonder who could have killed them," Austin said. "Me too," Pablo said before grinning evilly. "Wait a minute. Alexis, do you really think that Pablo did that to them? I mean, like, that face on him, what?" Courtney said. "Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, Courtney, and I agree entirely," I said. Courtney and I saw Pablo pull out a taser behind him when we saw him walk up to Austin. Courtney and I were rather disturbed, to say the least. Of course, Courtney didn't particularly care for the Backyardigans, and if anything, but even then though, she still wanted Austin to get the heck away from Pablo as quickly as possible. I then saw Pablo take the taser out and tase Austin. Austin fell to the ground, spasmed a little bit, and then passed out. I was in shock. What the heck was Pablo gonna do to Austin? I saw Pablo take the passed out purple kangaroo to his house and into his basement. Then Austin woke up. The camera turned to Austin's point of view. Courtney and I saw Tyrone's head with his antlers on the wall. Uniqua's head was on the table and Tasha's head was on the ceiling. I honestly saw Courtney run to the trash can. I paused the episode so she could throw up in the trash can. She was never really that kind of person to particularly take gore very well. even if it was minor. When she got back, she said, "I want to keep on watching." I clicked play. The camera then went back to normal the way that it was, and Austin was crying. Did you... Pablo, did you stab Tyrone? Did you... Why did you do all of this? Austin said while crying. Well, yeah, I did it, Pablo said. I saw Pablo grab a knife. He took Austin's shirt off and started to cut his belly. All the blood that was pouring out from his stomach was honestly a bit much, even for me. I then saw Pablo take a bite out of Austin's stomach. I was almost on the verge of puking my own self. I didn't want to see my favorite Backyardigans characters die. Pablo then took out a blowtorch and began burning Austin. I heard Austin screaming and crying. Why the fuck was Pablo trying to kill that poor kangaroo? It just didn't make any remote sense. What was his motivation for doing any of this? The last thing I saw Pablo do to Austin before he died was rip off his head. I don't know how he did it. I don't know why. But he managed to. Maybe it's cartoon logic or something along those lines, but he fucking did it. And it was pretty fucked up. I honestly was going to throw up at that point, but for some reason I just couldn't move. I felt like I was paralyzed with fear. I saw Pablo put Austin's head on the wall like Tyrone's to make it like a trophy. Pablo just smiled and began laughing. When the DVD was done, I went to the trash can and finally managed to puke in it. I don't know what exactly happened. I don't know why that DVD was the way that it was. I literally have no reason why this idiot guy gave me the freaking thing. I just didn't know what to do. We took the DVD and everything and hid it, and we both vowed never to speak about it again. That was pretty much what we ultimately did. We haven't talked about it since, and we have no intention of doing that again. I mean, sure enough, there's plenty of worse things out there on Best Score, YouTube, and pretty much life in general, I can say that. So if anything, it didn't particularly freak us out as much. But if anything, though, I can certainly say, though, that whoever made that bastardization of a kid show that I honestly loved, to them I have this to say. You're so fucking messed up. Seriously, completely fuck you entirely for making an episode like that entirely. And with that, that's really all I have to say. It's not really much, but hey, it's something. I didn't really know what to say at this point in time. I guess that's it. I honestly just hope I never see that fucking thing ever again. And that, my little shadows, was The Backyardigans Season 0, Episode 0. A Backyardigans Lost Episode Creepypasta by Cody Smith. My final thoughts on the story? Okay. I have some good things to say about this story, but I have a lot more on the negative side to say. Let's start off more along the lines with the good first. The main things that I can certainly say that I did enjoy about this story was the fact of the matter that the grammar in and of its own self worked out quite well. It was very well made, it was very detailed, it helped out with the story in and of its own self, and more importantly, it just kind of flowed well with the grammar and everything, and I have to give a lot of props for that, as unfortunately many people who are on this wikia, the Goshias, usually don't exactly tend to do a whole lot when it comes to the whole grammar and things like that, and actually giving proper paragraph structure and sentencing and things like that. It's all very well made, the grammar is very well done, I mean, it was really good. And not only that, the story in of its own self was actually very visually appealing. I mean, it was still cliched, but at the same time, though, I will have to say that everything, like I said, flowed out well. I could actually visualize everything that was going on within, the story in of its own self, which is a very good feat whenever it comes to a creepypasta. Another thing I actually happen to like about the story in of its own self is that, even though, like I said before, the story was cliched, at least it didn't take place, like in a garage sale or, a yard sale or whatever like that, or flea market, or just randomly pop up out of nowhere. Although I guess that is somewhat debatable, more along the lines of the fact of the matter that apparently some kind of crazy guy by the name of John apparently came to the school and handed a DVD. I mean, let's be completely frank here. Who in the world just hands someone a DVD? I mean, even on that matter, you'd have to think that there's something rather suspicious. Now that I've gotten the positive sides out, let's get more along the lines of the thing that the story did not do well. Okay, there's a lot. So I'm going to start off with the actual name itself. The Backyardigans Season 0, Episode 0. That is an extremely cliche title. There's nothing about it that is even remotely interesting in the slightest. If anything, people are going to look at this title and everything and be completely and utterly... They're going to roll their eyes, to be honest. And even that's what I wind up doing when I saw the title. I mean, hell, even the DVD itself in the story is that. I mean, the adventure begins. I mean, what exactly about the adventure was even beginning to begin with? And see, here's the biggest issue I can certainly say, though, is that if it's Season 0, it does not exist. There are no Season Zeros or anything. I mean, with the sole exception of the Fairly Odd Parents that had like a Season 0, sort of speak. But at least then it had proper episodes. There was not one of them that ever had like Episode 0. That's just not the thing that you do in cartoons. Another issue that I have with this story, and I think this one's kind of obvious, are the cliches. I mean, first, you have the random DVD and everything. That is a big cliche. That is a big no-no in the Creepypasta community. Season 0, Episode 0, another cliche. I don't need to go into detail with that one. But another issue I really do genuinely have with this story is, for one, oh my gosh. See, I didn't exactly have too much of an issue, really, with, the actual storytelling itself. I mean, if anything, it does provide a good ounce of a little bit of mystery on why exactly Pablo decided to kill his friends. But even on that matter, though, there is an issue, though, with this. Despite the compliment, there is an issue. The main issue I can certainly say, though, is that the story in of its own self does not exactly flow out too well. It doesn't give a real motivation or anything like such. It just more or less kind of goes into the whole thing. Pablo has to have a reason to do the things that he does, and if it's not the case, I mean, then it just doesn't work. I mean, you have to sit there and, provide something. That's a problem. And of course, the reactions of the actual protagonist. It's about as cliche as it can get. Them going up and throwing up all over the place. Getting like scared almost immediately whenever something weird happens. I mean, come on, people. That is not the reactions that people have. I mean, even with the most freaky kind of shit, you don't get terrified until real terrifying moments actually come into play. Unfortunately for this story, this is not the case. People got scared almost immediately. And another thing too, the Backyardigans do not ever deal with this kind of situation. I mean, Pablo stabbing Tyrone, why in the world would they go into remote detail? It'd be one thing if you said, why exactly they were missing or something. At least on that manner, however, that would actually provide a little bit of extra mystery and, wonder what exactly happened to them. At least then, the grand reveal, sort of speak, would have been a little bit more palatable, so to speak, but it just didn't. Come on, it's like even the characters themselves literally said that Tyrone was stabbed, Uniqua was poisoned, and Tasha was shot. How in the hell would Austin know that if later on in the story he wind up seeing all this? Come on, it just does not make any remote kind of sense. It does not make sense. And how the hell would they exactly do that? And why the hell would Pablo even admit to such a thing if he was the one that killed them? Come on, that's not something that serial killers would do, even for Pablo's standards. He wouldn't do that kind of thing. It does not make sense. The grin and everything was kind of meh, I guess, but still, it's just no. But I think the biggest insult with this story, for me personally, and I'm quite sure all of you out there, I spared you all the pain of having to sit there and listen to some of the things. I tried making it about as bearable as I'm able to make it, and I'm not trying to sound insulting here, but I'm saying that there was a part in this story that literally made me want to fucking break my computer. It goes into the whole thing about, the whole "you're next" and like Pablo saying "you're next" to the camera and actually saying the names, and then somebody literally going and claiming that, the characters are at the window now knocking on it. People, that's not fucking scary. That will never be scary. If anything, that in of its own self is a big slap in the face. It takes away the realism of the story itself. Lost episode creepypastas are supposed to be more or less realistic, with scary things in it. This entire thing was not realistic. You're literally separating reality from fiction. And when people read this kind of thing, they're gonna literally groan and roll their eyes like they haven't already done that at this point in time, and acknowledge the fact that they're just reading a story. If you're making a lost episode creepypasta, you have to make it as if it were an actual personal account of what happened to you, with a detail of what you saw. I mean, it doesn't make any remote sense. And the fucking ending, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Are you serious? Are you fucking serious right now? What if Austin isn't really dead? Dun dun dun, plot twist. Oh my fucking God, are you serious right now? That pisses me the fuck off. That's about as bad as Sonic.exe. Worse? No, it's worse than that. It's horrible. It's fucking awful. Why the hell did you decide to add that? You completely killed any amount of anything that had to do with the story. You completely ruined it in more ways than one. It is not scary. Hell, it's not even funny. It's fucking insulting. It is an insulting piece of literature. The only good thing I can say is the fact of the matter that the grammar and the story and the actual paragraph places are good, but that's it. There's nothing else more I can say that's good about this story. And I'm honestly deeply disappointed as well. With a great amount of grammar you have, you could sit there and make a better story. That's what honestly you can do. And anything, I know you're not going to like what I have to say here. I know you don't like what I've already said, but please take in consideration that I'm harsh for all the right reasons. And what you did was a big fucking insult to creepypastas and to me personally. You can't... Rewrite the entire story. That's all I can say. Rewrite the entire story, take out that horrible ending, actually make it believable and realistic, and then your story will actually be good. But let's get back more or less to the actual... I've been doing the review, obviously, but still. Overall, though, even though I hated this story, even though this ending was insulting as all fuck, oh my God. Oh my God. This is all my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with it, that's fine too. I completely understand. Although I'm quite sure you all agree with me at this point in time. My final rating of the story is a 1 out of 10. I'm giving it a 1 out of 10, and the only reason I'm giving it any remote rating whatsoever is because the grammar and the paragraph sentencing and everything like such, the sentence structure and everything is great. It's very, very, very good. Even on that matter, though, the story was cliched, it did not work, it was absolute trash, there was no motivation for why Pablo did the things that he did, the characters completely overreacted, the main protagonist, the ending in of its own self completely killed the story, burned it, mauled it, and then proceeded to dip it in acid a numerous amount of times, and to make matters all the more insulting, I literally just wasted who knows how fucking long narrating this story. So yeah. That's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think about this story. Did you guys enjoy this creepypasta or not? Let me know what you think. Also, do you agree with my review? Was I a bit too harsh? I doubt it. I think I'm actually trying to keep my cool here. But even on that matter, what would you honestly do to make this story better? Me personally, I would say a complete rewrite. That's honestly what I would do. Anyway, I'm the Shadow Reader. Thanks again for watching today's episode. Sorry for not making a whole lot of creepypastas recently. I've been very busy, but now I have all the time in the world to make them. So thank you guys again. I hope you all enjoyed this entire thing, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.